Welcome, everybody. My name is Milena. I come from Belgrade, from Serbia. I'm here representing two, actually, organizations, Music Export Serbia, very soon to be kicking off. And I am also responsible for music curatorship within Serbia Creates, a national platform for creative industries. And later my colleague Martin will tell you more in detail about what Serbia Creates does. However, my idea and my task here today was to tell you about the music industry in Serbia, what's the situation nowadays. And I will start off with some basic figures. I wanted to give you an idea for some of you who are maybe not familiar with the economy of our country, where we are now. We are in member candidate country for EU, hopefully joining in 2025, and we are about 7 million people, 6.9 million. With an average GDP per capita of $7,600 US. So we are kind of categorized as a middle-income country, and that actually reflects also the consumption of music, and you will see later on. It's all very interconnected and relatable. Our capital is Belgrade, where it's kind of centralized, and we were trying to decentralize it. So also most of the music happenings and events are happening in Belgrade, but we are trying to balancing it out. And of course, exit in Novi Sad, the second biggest city, is a representative of this. So we are. I stated here the four main cities, but of course there are many others, and in all of them, music is happening, live performance is happening. Serbia is known for the live sector, and Serbs love music, so that's very important. Before entering the subject of music, I just wanted to give you an idea of what's going on in a broader picture, and that is the creative sector as a whole, in terms of actually music making a constituent part of it. So in the past couple of years, there's been pretty substantial growth of creative industries in the national economy, and music makes part of it. Right now, maybe indirectly, especially through the gaming industry, where we have kind of a vibrant composers group that are involved in making music for gaming, and that's something that we really want to cherish and develop. This is more or less, these are the rough figures from latest reports about the creative industries. So it's quite impressive that now today creative industries contribute with 7.4% to the Serbian GDP, which is very good. So it's almost 60% more than in 2014. And another thing to very positive happening is that women are actually quite represented, and young people. We are quite proud of all the creative industries output. What's happening mostly in which sectors is graphic design, fashion, internet, and film and video production, programming, and engineering, and advertising. But music is there everywhere, so that's a great thing. However, we really want to help music's contribution to all of this grow, and to have kind of a bigger role in the creative sector in Serbia. I'll move straight to the music industry. So we are organized in a way that there are currently 3 collective management organizations, and SOCOI being the one with the most numerous membership, 12,000 members, so authors and composers. And then we have, of course, OFPS, member of IFPI, and member of RUNDA, which is a regional association of independent discographers. And we have PI, the Organization for Collective Management and Performers' Rights. What's happening right now is that the number of associations is growing in terms of music professionals are kind of unifying and are lobbying. Especially COVID brought that out. There's been lots of initiatives during the pandemic to improve the state of the music professionals, and we hope that there will be more kind of structural changes coming in that sense, and that the kind of a life of a musician will be easier, and that the environment for work and the ecosystem will enable them to work and to, let's say, to contribute to the economy. One of the pillars of our music system and music education is music education, which is quite important to mention because Serbia is, since Yugoslavian times, has actually inherited this concept of free music education. So we have a fantastic network of schools all around the country, and that actually is why we have many musicians who are quite established, and many of them around the world. And it's very important to mention that all of these, both primary and secondary schools, are free of charge for the parents. So that's, I think, in today's world, maybe rare or not seen so often. And it's something we really praise and we are proud about. And another institution quite important for the development of the music industry is our faculty of music, which has actually bred an amazing amount of artists playing all around the world. Our students very often go on for further education to academies in Graz as well, and Berkeley. We have a very strong Berkeley alumni, as well as Graz. So those two schools are, I would say, the most numerous ones. And some of these people are based in Belgrade, some are scattered around the world, however, very well connected with the local scene and performing quite often. So these are I won't go through, but for you to have an idea how actually the Faculty of Music has a long tradition, and it's quite important for us. The regulatory framework within the music industry is governed, controlled by the Ministry of Culture. These are the main, let's say, pillars of their work. There's lots of space for improvement, and we hope that, especially with the Music Export Serbia, we will make some changes, fundamental ones and maybe tectonic ones, to improve the work and life of musicians in the country, and actually bring profits and revenues to the economy and the community. So they are quite important for us and fundamental in the development of music. I wanted to show you this SWOT analysis. It's quite lengthy, and I will go through it, but it's quite explanatory when it comes to all the issues that the music export will tackle. Bear in mind that music export is a very new topic in the country, so it's been talked about for years, but now is the time really to set it off, and enough talking. and our idea is to tackle all these issues. Sorry, but these are the strengths. Our weaknesses are very long. You'll see. But I wanted to tell you just in brief also about the music export. So these are actually the foundations of the main information the Music Export Office will rely on. So we are very, very proud that the list of strengths is not short. So we have lots of potential and lots of room to improve and lots of projects to develop. So our main strengths are always the success stories that provoke national pride. And we also are quite proud of the fact that we have export-ready music as we speak that is just needs a boost, especially in the genres of jazz and classical and world music as well as electronic. So we can't wait really to get hold, to put our hands on it and really, you know, hit it off. Diversity in products and services, thriving alternative music scene is also something that is quite vibrant right now and happening. There is a large group of young people in their 20s who are playing wonderful music, who just need somehow a push and help and maybe some assistance in that. And we can't wait really to help them and to see them grow and to see them travel and perform around the world. And those are especially the Haligali collective, which some audiences, especially Ljubljana, has and the region actually knows about. Yeah, that's something that's happening among the, let's say, the younger crowds. A positive thing is that English is not a barrier, so we speak English fairly well in Serbia, in most cities, and English is taught from early age. So, and that actually means that a typical Serbian sings pretty well in English. So, and it helps with the export. So that's another point. We have a tradition of live music events, and every city has a live gig, even the smaller ones. And there's a wide network of live music venues. So definitely this is something the Music Export Office will focus on. And neoclassical, we believe that neoclassical music is a growing industry, and that there are also significant number of talent shows on TV that involve lots of the whole ecosystem, and that's great. And this is a good way to find a new star. So we have also a fantastic number of music festivals, with Exit being the leading one. There are, you will see, I have a slide on festivals. We have really many good festivals. And this is our also ability to attract tourism, and this is the linkage to music tourism, and we really want to develop that. And we hope, actually, also, I believe the government really hopes to develop new festivals that will attract foreign tourists coming to Serbia. Yeah, we have quite a large production, so I mean, new music is popping up quite frequently. However, this is also can be seen as a weakness. So we really need to work with the kids and with the industry on improving the production. So these are probably going to be one of the first workshops that we intend to do in order to kind of bring up the quality of it all. The weaknesses, so this is maybe a different word PowerPoint, I didn't check the slides, but anyway, these are the weaknesses, and this is everything that we will work on in the future. Basically, what's troubling us the most is that actually music is seen as a hobby, so it's usually a second job for many people, and that shouldn't be that way. So Music Expert Office wants really to educate people and to empower them, and actually lobby and improve the everyday life of musicians. The market is small, so we need to go outside. We have weak representative bodies. There are thousands, I mean hundreds of associations, whether it's association of pop music, association of jazzers, of this and that, but somehow their leverage and their powers are not. They need a boost. They need to kind of get together, and we need to help them improve the scene. Also weak ties with the international music markets are due to the fact that an export office hasn't been, there wasn't a music export so far. So this is all kind of a new topic in our country for Serbia. So we need to strengthen the ties and to enable the collaborations and further projects, and maybe through technical assistances, maybe through festival exchanges and so on. Live music is not a is not a question, but production needs to be improved. Songwriting also, we want to work with young people on songwriting skills, and we really can't wait to organize one of the first workshops on those topics. And all of these weaknesses, as I call them here, are just the foundation of the work and of everything that we will tackle in the future. It's a quite long list. Opportunities, though, are high, and there is lots of potential for growth, especially hopefully with the pandemic being over, and or towards a stabilization. Let's see. We look forward to starting in a normal kind of a normal world. What needs to be also kind of emphasized is the, as I said, the music tourism, and particularly growing content for music and for film and TV and for gaming. Those are huge opportunities for us, because we have our partner organization, which is the Film Export Office, which is operating since maybe 15 years or so, and they are bringing productions from all over the world to Belgrade and to Serbia, and we see an opportunity in incorporating music in their activities. So that's also another important opportunity. Threats are that our markets are small, that the distance to international markets implies that the costs are high. However, we will try, and you will see that we have we will focus initially on several regions and countries, and step by step we will try to conquer them. Threats are also seen in the fact that there is resistance to change, and there is a strong need to invite people and industry members to collaborate, and that's another really appeal to everybody, that this is a joint effort, and that sees really the benefit for all of us. So basically that's in a nutshell. Live music, as I said, is quite developed in our country, the live sector. So there are really hundreds of venues in Belgrade. However, we lack let's say the mid-size, and hopefully there will be new venues coming being established in the future. Belgrade is quite kind of as I said, music industry is probably centralized because Belgrade is the capital, because it's 1.7 million people. However, we want to really praise and give their, give the importance also to the smaller cities and towns. So there is something happening everywhere in Serbia, so there are venues. However, of course, there is always space for more and space for growth. This is basically the mapping of the live music venues. Music festivals is another segment of the music industry, as I mentioned, that is extremely important. The leading actor in this is, of course, the Exit and the Exit family. They have managed actually to spin off and to set their foot in 4 countries. So now Exit is active also in Croatia, in Montenegro, in Romania and Bulgaria. Exit is from Novi Sad, and Exit is our biggest festival, and also it will play a fundamental part, and it will be a partner in the endeavors of the Music Export Office, and we are very proud of it because they have lots of experience and knowledge on these topics. So these are a little bit breakdown of the figures of the actually of the Exit this year. So this year, even in COVID, they have managed to have actually this is last year, the year before, but this year they managed 40,000 people a day. So it's quite fascinating actually that even in just 2 months ago they managed to have these figures in this era of pandemic. Belgrade is the only city that has showcase festivals for now, and those are Contact and Indirect. Hopefully there will be more showcase festivals. They are quite fundamental for the export business, and we really want to help them and maybe even set and grow new ones. Who knows? I've here emphasized a little bit the major festivals all around the countries, and it must be said also because our jazz, for example, is quite developed and quite known. So we have really good jazz festivals around the country. Belgrade maybe being the leading one, but Pančevo, which is a city close to Belgrade, also is quite impressive, and Nišvil and Valjevo jazz. So the jazz scene is very, very developed, and the electronic one as well. So we look forward to seeing more festivals and to seeing more tourists, and definitely the Music Export Office will work with all of those. This is just the media mapping. Unfortunately, as it happened everywhere in the world, with the growth of the digital era and the growth of the digital media, somehow print papers and magazines have gone almost forgotten. So we are now in a situation, I believe, that we even don't have a print music magazine. So everything is happening online. So we have numerous internet portals that cover music, although very kind of genreistically and selectively. So there is no site that gives you a full picture of what's going on, and that's actually what the Music Export Serbia will attempt to do in the beginning, to really include all the information, to be the first point of information for everybody who wants to know what's happening in music in Serbia overall. And within print and online, again, we have the newspapers who have their sections covering music. So this is maybe the only print where actually music is covered. So it's not a very pink situation. But I see kind of that it's happening everywhere, or almost everywhere around the world. So everything is online now. Within the topics of concert promoters, we also have an association of concert promoters. Here I stated just the main ones. They are quite unified and active. They were quite active and fighting for the right to work also during the pandemic, and they actually managed to get some assistance also from the government. And in terms of radio, probably about, as I said, about 25 radio shows that cover Serbian music and what's new in Serbian music. And TV, I stated here, about 20 shows overall include music, but not exclusively. Those are shows that cover many topics, and then they would also add. But there are only two shows which are really good, Bunt and Tri boje zvuka, which cover exclusively music and have live music performances in the studio. So this is quite good, and this is on national television. And those two shows are quite you know, seen and have a good audience. Record store vinyl is on the rise, so Belgrade and other cities also have many vinyl shops. I wanted to tell you also about the streaming services. So the situation is, because we are a developing country, Deezer was the first to come quite a long time ago. However, Spotify and Tidal are just recent on the market, and recent market research showed that only 8% of people actually pay for music streaming services. So those numbers are not high for now. YouTube is quite used. But with Deezer, because they've been around for almost 10 years, almost 10 years, they have a person in Serbia, a local editor. So let's say that their playlists for Serbia are the most accurate ones and curated, let's say. So this is the situation with the streaming. The genres that we want to present to you here today, however, this is not in order of any of importance, but just as they came up, it's electronic and jazz and ethno, world, classical and contemporary, pop rock with these amazing new stars, young stars in the folk and in these dream pop genres, and film and TV scoring, and music and gaming. Those are the things actually that we believe in this first couple of years will be the focus of the office's attention, and actually are the ones that have the most potential. Let me just. Our goals as an office are this is almost short term. So that as any other music office, our main let's say tasks will be to give information, to provide the network and collaboration, and to provide education. So these are the main three pillars of our office. And through that, yes, we will also do all these things, and we hope to achieve that, at least to be able to say in a year that oops, what happened? Sorry. Target markets for us are naturally the Balkan region and the ex-Yugoslavian region. Actually, Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Montenegro, that's happening as we speak. That's our traditional markets. Those are our, brothers and sisters, and we listen to each other's music. And then there is the broader Balkan region. Also, Bulgarians are quite interested in our music, and Romanians as well, and so on. So that's why we say, yeah, Southeast Europe. But of course, EU, Russia, Serbia traditionally has strong ties with Russia, and has strong ties with China and Turkey. And of course, the Serbian diaspora all over the world shouldn't be disregarded. So these are the main, and at least, this is going to be kind of more easier through our diplomatic outlets and also through numerous successful Serbian artists living in all these countries, because we have really also academics, you know, whether it's the academy, I don't know, in Berlin, or people in Boston or in LA. There are some really top producers from Serbia working in LA. So we really we are mapping up all the successful and let's say professionals within the music industry of Serbian origin in the world, and we intend to involve them. And I think this is a good way to start. So this is one of our also activities in the future. We wanted to mention also about the opportunities ahead of us in terms of promotion. So there will be, the Serbian government is making an art quart, a kind of creative, innovative, multifunctional center called Ložionica in the very center of Belgrade. And that's going to happen in, it's going to be finished either in 2024 or 25. And this is going to be something of great importance for young artists and for artists. It will actually include also venues for to perform, so venues, and it will be, I guess, as our inspiration comes from all the art quarts in Europe. So we look forward to that, because we don't have such a part of town. Expo 2020 Dubai is the world exhibition happening starting on October 1st, and Music Expert Serbia will be involved in the let's say cultural and musical program at the exhibition. So this is a good actually opportunity to promote Serbian artists. And also another event happening in Belgrade is Europride 2022, and then Novi Sad is the capital of culture of 2022, which also is something that is important to mention. And last but not least, the Serbian government is planning, that's been now due to COVID postponed, but there will be, London will host a creative embassy, as we call it. So it will be a hub for Serbian artists in London, and the opportunity to perform there, to be there. So I'm just, yeah, this is probably, we are working on the website. It will be launched shortly, so please bear with us, and yeah, hopefully we will be here next year, and we will see each other every year at all showcase festivals around Europe. Yeah, I would like to thank you. This is a brief intro on my part. And here with me, actually, I didn't mention, I made a mistake. We were supposed to be in three. Here with us was supposed to be also Bane Jovančević from Dragstor. Dragstor is a great, one of the greatest Belgrade's venues and clubs, known for electronic music and the most eclectic program. And actually, Dragstor has the best, in my view, the best social media in Serbia when it comes to music and to venues. And Bane was supposed to be here with us, however, he was unable to. Martin is here, the third, so I was supposed to come with the two of them, now it's only one. Martin is here with me. He's the advisor to the Prime Minister, and actually somebody who is fundamental for creating the strategy of Serbia Creates, which is this national platform for creative industries. I don't know, Martin, do you want me to play the video of... Yeah. Yes. There is a video that will give you in a nutshell, an idea of Serbia Creates as an intro to Martin. Oh no, this is your sorry. Serbia Creates.
My mission is to show the people all the beauty of our day.
Serbia Creates is a platform that actually involves creative ambassadors in many disciplines. So also music is included, and we have about 20 musicians as creative ambassadors, and this video actually represents some of them. So let me enlarge this for you and play it. I'll play it from the start for you to have an idea.
My mission is to show the people all the beauty of our diversity, while at the same time showing them all the beauty of what makes us the same.
We should experience the world as a whole and take our differences as an advantage.
We make use of particles taken from butterfly wings in order to create security elements involved in Teslagram technology.
It is so exciting to know that we in Serbia are first to deal with the topic of prehistoric maternity that no scientist took into consideration until now.
Through reading, you can experience a real adventure of the mind. Every captivating book is all about that.
I'm so proud to say that Belgrade Center is now one of the science and medicine ambassadors in the world. I'm happy to see that Serbia has much more to offer to the world than one might expect of such a small country.
Thank you, everyone. I'll invite Martin to join.
And that is the first time we've had a successful technical hand. What are we doing here? I'm using enter. Okay. So, as Milena has mentioned, my name is Martin Cuff, and I work directly for the Prime Minister of Serbia as her advisor on creative industries and tourism, which has grown considerably over the last few years to incorporate essentially how we brand Serbia and communicate Serbia's messages around the world. The rationale behind us getting this together was that, as Milena mentioned, it's around 7% of GDP, 7.4% of GDP is the creative industries, which is greater than agriculture, it's greater than car production, it's greater than tourism. And until we started this process, there was no government body handling it at all. The Ministry of Economy treated it as an artistic endeavor. The Ministry of Culture treated it as an artistic endeavor without any economic value whatsoever. And so this entire sector of growth was being essentially falling through the cracks. And as was mentioned, when looking at the sector and how it breaks down, the fact that it was such a large percentage of women, such a large percentage of youth employment, it starts to look at how you solve some of the major problems that Serbia is facing, including things like brain drain. Then you add in things like, I call it future-proofing. In other words, it's very difficult to outsource creativity. It's very difficult to automate it. So by creating an environment where creative industries can thrive, we stand a chance of saving Serbia's entire economy and society. So 2017, we started developing the Serbia Creates platform, and by 2018, we had launched it. I mentioned branding, and it's an important thing for where this came from in the greater scheme of things, which is if you've seen any media, Hollywood movies, even things like Grand Theft Auto, video gaming in the last 20 years, you'll know that Serbia's international media image is poor. And it's partly because, we have no way to fight back against those Hollywood movies that always show us as the bad guys. And this was I'd spent most of my life in South Africa, and this was exactly the same problem that we had there, of how do you change people's opinions of you so that you're not automatically fighting a stereotype before you can even have a conversation. And so for me, it was as much that I wanted Serbian agricultural parts manufacturers who are going into a meeting in Paris not to be met by people who think they're carrying an AK-47. So part of this process of looking at how we support creative industries was really also about how we could change messaging about what modern Serbia was and what it could do. So Serbia Creates as a platform was very, I can't try and say simply, but it's never simple, is it, really, ever? So we harness the nation's underutilized assets of creativity and build an environment where creative people can thrive based on the commercial exploitation of their IP. So in other words, this is not creating art for art's sake, it's about allowing creatives of all kinds to be able to thrive and make money and live a good life in Serbia. So we create platforms that support Serbian creatives to build their business and export their products and services. We promote those creative businesses and individuals to create new perceptions of Serbia. And by promoting new messages about Serbian creativity, we create new opportunities for Serbian creatives. So the whole idea is that this becomes a self-perpetuating loop of positivity that we can help businesses to grow and we can help change the messaging about Serbia. So we did a lot of research at the beginning, and every single sector requires this kind of support. So firstly, they need to know who's who and what's what, so it's a mapping and statistics and knowing what's going on in the business. It's networks and alliances, so not just for individual artists participating, but for government to government, for associations to associations. It's about infrastructure, so that there are places that creatives can gather and share and grow, and there are interesting challenges about that, which I'll come to in a second. Policy and legislation. Obviously, you know, we've inherited a very creaky, old socialist era set of legislation that slowly has to be reformed and updated and changed. But that happens wherever you are in the world. That, you know, the role of the central body needs to be to make sure that it's continually lobbying for proactive policies that can change the trajectory of the organization. Funding and incentives, education and training. I avoid doing, from an economic perspective, I avoid doing training in artistry itself. So I'm not so interested in training people to be musicians as I am training them in the entrepreneurial skills that they need in order to be able to function in a globalized economy. And then market awareness and building. And then there are a number of sort of add-ons that come beyond that, which this is really why, from a government perspective, we get excited about being involved in these programs. So tourism promotion is an obvious spillover effect. The fact that we can take adaptive reuse of old heritage buildings and turn them into something that is valuable for the community. We counter brain drain, nation branding, this notion of soft power, of how you influence others based on, you know, without weaponry, you're doing it now out of cultural exchange. Regional connections and EU integration goals. These are all things that by us supporting creative industries development, we were able to start the process with. So, nation brand, crafting messages about Serbia, public diplomacy. And just to clarify, public diplomacy is diplomacy conducted people to people rather than through the formal diplomatic channels. So we have an influencer strategy whereby we are joining international organizations and participating in events like this. We are looking at, obviously we've been supporting the setup of the music export office, and we've been looking at similar for design and art and other areas that are underutilized at the moment. We've creative showcases for Serbian creativity. Lena mentioned the London one, but we've also looked at similar venues, Serbian-owned venues in Paris and Brussels and Prague and in Zagreb as well, as places where we would be able to showcase Serbian talent. And then destination marketing and linking that all in with the tourism product. And then sector development, with tourism and the creative industries, of sector coordination and training and skills development, creative hubs, which is the Lozionica program, which I'll tell you about, and other special projects, which really can be anything right up to the Dubai World Expo, which I will tell you about just shortly. So the challenges that we've had in terms of doing this have been the fundamental lack of initial understanding of the balance between culture and creative industries. And we initially had pushback from some sectors who were very much still in the old way of thinking about culture not having to have any kind of commercial value. The other thing that is interesting as a challenge from government, and put in the context of government, are very good at creating tech hubs and innovation centers and these kind of things. But the process of creativity, particularly with the creative industries, is not linear, and it's not something that those existing ways of innovation can support. In other words, if your job as a factory is to make widgets, and you hope to make a better widget, your innovation will result in a better widget, and there's a process to do that. Unlike the creative industry, where you are creating fundamentally different products every single time you step in a studio or whatever. So it requires different kinds of support from government, and internal linkages between companies and individuals in the sector, and horizontal and vertical as they may be, you know, in terms of the product creators and the people providing services. That all needs to be connected with the external linkages outside of the country, ideally, and nurturing that in a way that makes sense. Those are all things that government doesn't have a great deal of experience of when it comes to the creative industries. And that's stuff that we then start looking at what we can change. My main approach has been a value chain approach, and I've just put it all onto the screen there into one thing, but I've done it into a smaller thing so you can see what I'm talking about. But essentially, when you're looking at the value chain of music, all of these are elements where there are opportunities for us to make fundamental changes by supporting networking, upgrading skills, improving legislation. So I try and look at the whole scale of the value chain and work out what we can do, where we can do it, within the limited budgets that we have, obviously, to make a difference. And so these all sort of are important areas for anyone who's developing a music sector to, from an economic perspective, to be looking at. And this is always left off at the end, which is something that in the creative industries becomes really important, is the feedback loop, because nobody in the creative industries is going to make a new musical performance if the previous feedback loop is rubbish. So, you know, this connection between the feedback loop and the start of the creative process becomes a thing that the creative industries really needs to take into consideration. So the value chain approach is really how I try and think about how we could have helped the music industry up until now. So what we have tried to do at Serbia Creates is we've sent bands to international showcases, we've participated in events, we've joined regional and international associations. At the local level, we've supported releases of artists, we've produced shows for artists. We ensured that the creative industries, including music, was included in the COVID relief planning, such as it was. Milena mentioned the ambassadors program. That's the idea of just raising the profile within Serbia and abroad of our creative excellence, and there are about 20 musicians that we now promote around the world as being the very best of Serbia, and give them the kind of accolade that they deserve. We've hosted masterclasses to try and raise the quality of new things. We've created tie-ins between musicians and Air Serbia, so their music is being played on the Air Serbia flights. The infrastructure component is something that has been a major focus for us, simply because that's where it lands in the government hierarchy of where it's communicated. So Ložionica was mentioned as the new showcase in the middle of Belgrade, but we've also done a showcase in a place called Radionica, which is the old theatre props department is being converted into a small theatre and stage for live performance. London House, Milena mentioned, it's a 5-story building. It's the old Air Serbia building in London, and we're converting it into a literal a showcase for where creative people can go and work from and have meetings and connect with their markets in London. We are working on the process to build a new opera house, a new concert hall, we're investing in the music faculty. We've assisted Colorado, which is one of the old venues, to remain sustainable and open during the COVID thing. And we've then supported the launch of the new export office. And all of that's been done essentially with a budget of zero, which we have to pull money in from project to project in order to make things work. The main thing that I'm working on at the moment, though, is the Dubai World Expo, which is 192 countries from all around the world will be exhibiting in pavilions in Dubai from 1st of October until the 31st of March. And I've been working quite closely with Expo to try and make sure that we profile Serbian musicians throughout their programs. And so there's an Expo Beat Festival, which they have 6 of them. We have Serbian artists in 2. There are 20 late night festivals, and we've got 4 Serbian acts in those. Obviously, we're still hoping to squeeze a few more in along the way. They have 6 Yalsats, which is a unique Arab kind of structure of music, and we have a Serbian artist invited to that. And we've also got 40 Serbian musicians, artist acts, playing at our stage at the pavilion during the course of the thing. And to just put it in context, this has never been done before by Serbia. So we've really gone from 0 to quite a lot in a very quick period of time, hoping to try and make this difference. The infrastructure, just practically to try and give you it from a government perspective, we have these old heritage buildings that cannot be used for anything else anymore. The way they work in terms of creating a hub, and bearing in mind that we've looked at actually using one of the heritage buildings in Serbia specifically as a music hub. They need to be central. They need to be close to traffic, to public transport lines and all of those kind of things. They need to be connected. There need to be a number of firms, businesses, people who are working from the top of the value chain to the bottom. They need to be connected to the outside world, because that's where often the new ideas come from. So you're trying to constantly create new ways of people to share ideas. And the anchor tenants is, something that is really useful to the music industry would be in there. So potentially a top sound studio or a post studio or something like this, which would be enough to make it worthwhile for young musicians to be based there. Pipelines of opportunity is stuff that we see a lot in the film industry, but it's not yet used much in music because of the lack of central kind of commissioning. But the idea being that if you make it important enough or if you provide the services so people can have their music commissioned, they can have investment through the hub, then you're having a greater chance of people staying in the hub and participating and sharing ideas with others. Curated networking is that meeting doesn't often happen by default, so you actually have to continually drag people to meet each other and say, hey, did you know you're working on this project? Well, this guy needs a website, and this is a web designer who can do that for you. And you're constantly bringing it together with the professional services. Development and tools and spaces are for, the performing rooms, the rehearsal rooms, the places where you can fix your instruments, those kind of things. It needs to be a multi-purpose destination, which I think music really ties into nicely. In other words, it's a place where you would need to make sure that there were multiple performance spaces within the venue. And I use dog-friendly as a example, but really I want you to think of it in terms of, as creatives, one of the big lessons of the major tech companies is you don't want creatives to be called away from their creating, whether it's for a stupid meeting or to go to a dentist or to walk the dog. You want to give creatives the biggest run at being creative as you possibly can. So by making your center dog friendly so that they can hang with their dog during the day and they're not rushing off to walk it at night, you create the community by staying there. But it could be as easily as having a dentist or a doctor on site. It's that kind of approach to running a creative hub. The other thing that we look at quite a lot, and we haven't done enough of in Serbia, and I certainly would like us to look at more of it, is music tourism. just within creative tourism generally, it attracts higher yield tourists. They stay longer, they spend more, and they come back. And because increasingly tourism development is around emotional response, music obviously has a huge opportunity to do that. And if you look around the world, there are a number of different, very, very different music tourism things. And I'm thinking of like Jimi Hendrix's grave in Paris, which is a cultural destination of its own right. Where? Jim Morrison, sorry. That's right, sorry, it's the Jimi Hendrix Museum in London, where they've put the Jimi Hendrix Museum next to the Handel Museum as a destination. And you know, I think, you know, one of the things I always found amazing about Serbia was that with the struggle to overturn the dictatorship was done with rock and roll and humor. And I think that there is still room in Serbia now for a music tourism thing that is around the protest music of Serbia in the 80s and 90s to early 2000s. So you know, those kind of things I think are still to be developed with us. But we've obviously got a good start with Exit as a draw card, and you know, music helps us create the stories that can develop things, and it adds value to tourism as well. It works in both ways. So you add value to tourism, and tourism adds value to the music thing as well. So that's it in a nutshell, what we've been working on, and I'm very pleased to be that the bulk of the work is now handed on to Milena to do, because it's been a fun journey, but now music requires its own specific responses and solutions to its own specific challenges, and it's going to be back to Milena from now on.
Where do you come from? Yeah, where do you guys come from? Berlin? Mm-hmm. Czech Republic. Sorry? London, okay. Vienna. Hamburg, okay. Did you know anything about Serbia? Oh, Serbia, yeah, you follow. Familiar. Okay. Okay.
That becomes almost impossible to deal with. And also the other interesting thing, which has always been an amazing part of my job, I remember when I was working with the film industry originally, and they came to me and said, but we create so many jobs. Like, really? Great, how many? Well, like 1,000 on a movie. I'm like, 1,000 a year per film? That's amazing. They went, no, in 8 weeks we create 1,000 jobs. Yeah, but government's job creation statistics are done over a year. So you're just talking at each other. You're not making any sense to anybody. So you know, you then have to adjust how you gather statistics in the film industry to be able to talk to government, and government needs to understand. So we have this challenge in the music industry because it's so fragmented, that hopefully the Music Export Office will start being able to bring people together and understand that, you know, speaking with one voice gives them much more strength.
Yes. I hope.
Thank you. Is that on? Yeah. Great presentation, so informative. You know, it seems like the Serbian music scene has grown so naturally on its own. I mean, it's incredible, this number that you've mentioned a couple times, the 7.4%. So how much are you incorporating and working with the musicians themselves to figure out how to, you know, most effectively move forward with all of your plans? Because it seems like they would be such an amazing resource to really use in this whole process.
Yeah, we have the resource, we just have to start working. So yeah, but we're just starting. So I hope that, you know, there is a short kind of term plan for next year, and definitely education is, I think, the first and foremost, you know, somehow them training of various sorts. And also the fact that I see, promotion-wise, I see musicians being left out on their own, on their, Instagrams and socials. It should be much broader, and that's why I think it's important also to educate and to inform, journalists and young journalists, and that's why we also on board with us at the Music Export Office. We have some of the most influential music journalists. And it's very important for them to be informed and to be in touch with, what's going on with the news on the market. Who are the new acts and so on.
Yeah, I think my question is more about really using the musicians themselves and the knowledge they already have, because I think sometimes I'm also in an export office, and I think sometimes there is a disconnect between the people running everything, the people in charge of the organizational matters and coming up with all the ideas, and then the people really on the ground doing it. And so I just was wondering how much musicians themselves are part of the process of developing ideas right now.
We will involve.
So the export office will be set up as an NGO, and within that it will have initially its founding members. We're talking to 8 or 9. It will be 9
10.
people.
Mm-hmm.
9, and they're all Serbian leading musicians, stakeholders from the sector. What they then become once the organization is founded is the basis of the membership, and that membership then will be opened up to all of the musicians, and it will therefore be their organization. We are simply, my job is to hand it over, but it will simply be then an administrative role for Milena, but working with the musicians to make sure that the organization, and we'll even be structuring the membership around the artists being the main members and the others being potentially associate members. We're still working out how to get the best balance of the stakeholders in the sector to make sure that it meets the needs of the industry. But you're 100% right. This will be an industry-owned. The goal
it's
really
for
is
them.
is to move it away from being a top-down initiative to being a bottom-up one. But again, part of the problem is that structure of collaboration between them does not happen yet. So it requires this middle step to be able to move it forward.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I hope to see you. We hope to see you in Serbia. Thank you.
There are no rules but one. One rule for everyone, for freaks, weirdos, divas, and influencers. Be the Meister, with no rules but one. Be what you want. Love who you are. One rule breaks the ice. Drink Jägermeister at -18 degrees Celsius.